As I'm running behind again on my usual entry time, I'll try and fill in any potentially interesting gaps. There are a few previous attempts at incomplete entries which I feared would never see the light of day, so for my own peace of mind, however rational that is, I have assembled them into a blog entry you can find on the website. One with grammatical errors, spelling and predictive text issues, but it does capture an assortment of premature thoughts and so captures an essence of my erratic mental process lately. How I think has always seemed to follow a certain trend, but much of what I find makes my mode of thinking distinguishable is presenting its tangled manner on a manic end of the spectrum as my sanity buckles under things it's not cut out to grapple with in large doses. Humanity has been a key theme here. Humility has been a key theme here. I suppose both have, but in this instance, humility has been a key theme here. Much as I am ambitious enough to always explore solutions, to keeping on top of things, and maximising my productivity so it matches with the anticipations I have in mind, this same level of effort continues to feed predominantly into the bare essentials of employment and the mundane factors of life. The primary aspiration of just trying to remain calm increasingly outranks any creative ones. That's not to say there hasn't been creative progress. In fact, there has. I've finished a commission I'll elaborate on in a moment, and I'm beginning to get a head start on some other things while I catch up on the mundane requirements. This recent step forward is thanks in part to incorporating a few new focus and organisational strategies a neurodivergent nutcase like myself craves. Pomodoro technique and colour coding my horrifying to-do list into priority chunks, to name a few things. Ultimately, I feel this time round I've pulled everything out of the bag to get shit done without losing my shit. However, when I say it was hard work, it is not a type of hard work that is sustainable. Now I have a window of time to reflect again. That is clear, because not 2 hours ago I felt fried, like every ounce of enthusiasm for anything had just been sweated away entirely. And this brings me to what this means practically in the coming weeks. First, I have to acknowledge that this journal is intended to capture a process and at the best of times complement or at least contextualise my creative material. Should that ever become relevant? Because at this period of time there has been these aforementioned matters, and this all flies parallel to counselling skills training, which inevitably requires us to unpack any emotional baggage we might be personally operating off of. Anything that would trigger the mental health of a hyper-analytical person like myself triggers the fuck out of it. But I am a pragmatist, so what does this mean in real terms? It means my years of fanaticism into fitness, nutrition, and all those biochemical factors around it has intersected with all this recent psychological perspective stuff, and it has never been clearer what my overall issues are. But I'm still way out of my depth, and relying on gradual trial and error to gain the kind of control I need, and in many ways used to have. Maybe that's another thing to explore another time. So, to put very briefly, I have found some expert input next week so I can hack my way back safely into the glitches of my biochemistry, because I am currently deeply dependent on mild I am deeply dependent on mild antidepressants like tryptophan. That is not to say I am approaching some diagnosis of depression, only that when I don't take this serotonin precursor on a daily basis, I feel quite depressed. I have my own theories as to what is going on, and I would love to explain precisely. Excuse me. I would love to explain precisely how I think this came to be, but I may as well see what the doctor reckons first, which is what I'm going to do. So, how much of this stems from dyspraxia and workload remains to be seen, but I guess to put it very generally, I think the years of fitness fanaticism might have been, amongst other things, some unconscious drive to gain a sense of self-agency I did feel like I had. The only place I find significant agency is when I'm creating things, even this. But alas, that isn't a huge part of adult life. I have to be thankful for all the online resources, the books and all of that stuff, that I've been able to utilise all these different mental and physical strategies and hacks for having me to a vaguely sufficient example of an adult human who can pay bills. Anyway, this is all enlightening. Enlightening. Anyway, this is all enlightening, and I will get a lot more, and will get a lot more enlightening. Let's do that one more time, because why not? We're here now. Anyway, this is enlightening, and will get a lot more enlightening as the artwork realigns with what I'm doing. Something I've done is a commission piece. I've mentioned in previous entries that it's been long overdue. I wrote a little paragraph about it on my Instagram post. I'll read it here, then I'll talk about a mutant man I've created, and that'll be a wrap for a week. The process of this work has been staggered over a long and eventful period of time. Eventful in that it's been frequently humbled by colliding into my own current limitations. Many lessons have been learnt through poor or short-sighted organisational skills that prior to I thought I was more competent at. The result, while running parallel with the introspective nature of the counselling training, has been a torrent of tense, erratic energy and ultimately reassessing how I go about most things. That's another matter for now, but the process and outcome of this piece does in a subconscious way reflect on the internal process of self-resolution, or it doesn't. Either way, I drew this long overdue completion, many forms of relief happening lately, thankfully. So that's that. Finally, I'd like to introduce you to this man, and with it I'll read what I posted with it on November 19th. For International Men's Day, I've hybridised what, by my calculations, must be the perfect man. Behold. He has the proactive charisma and discipline of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the emotional intelligence and unapologetic sensitivity of Mark Kermode, Andy Dufresne's quiet and reserved stoicism, and, for some extra sex appeal, People Magazine's 2021 Sexiest Man Alive, Paul Rudd. As a genuine disclaimer, there's been some division over the idea of International Men's Day. My feeling is simply this. Humanity progresses best when driven by positive reinforcements. And most men, as with most women, often draw most influence from their own sex. Not always, but often. if we can use this day to highlight not only the disastrous state of men's mental health, but also celebrate and often redefine positive male role models, that surely would be an immense asset in tackling misogyny, toxic ideas, and making stuff generally better for everyone. I'm just a pragmatist and a dreamer. So is Arnark Dufrud. That's his name. We men can all learn a few things from Arnark Dufrud. That's a wrap. You've made it this far. Thank you for listening. That must have been 10 minutes, thereabouts. Imagine all the provocative social media you could have reacted to in that time. And now you're reacting to this, so I appreciate your presence. Bye now.